months before Alibaba's big Wall Street debut, the e-commerce giant actually considered listing in Hong Kong. But stringent regulations about the corporate structure forced Jack Ma to look elsewhere. Now that it's made a big splash in the U.S., investors in Hong Kong and Asia are closely watching all of these developments, as is our very own Cathy Yang, who's watching them from Hong Kong. Cathy, what's the latest?
Michelle, it's been a long road to Wall Street for Alibaba, and the journey started right here in Hong Kong, where it had initially planned on listing the company. It's an early Saturday morning here. It's a beautiful day, but Alibaba investors had been tuned in to the goings-on in the New York listing overnight. And one of them is Ronald Wan. He joins me now in the studio. He is the Chief China Advisor of Asian Capital Holdings here in Hong Kong. Good to have you with us, Ronald.
Yeah.
So 38% up. What do you make of the debut?
I think it has been a sleepless night for many investors in Asia, and the debut of the share price actually surprised a lot of people. But we've seen a strong buying interest from Asia because a lot of investors got no allocation at all. No matter how many billions of dollars subscription money.
That's a big problem, the allocation. I mean, 1,700 international investors applied for this IPO and only half got it.
Yes.
What about the other half?
Other half actually got nothing. So basically, they have to stay the whole night, last night, to decide at what price they should buy in. So basically, it seems that a lot of buying interest coming up from Asia. So it contributes part of the reason why the share price has increased so many. It actually surprised a lot of people. A lot of investors should be happy, but those who got no shares should be a little bit worried because the price is a little bit high right now.
A little bit high, so they have to wait a little bit more. It pulls back a little bit more before they get in.
Yeah, based on the the IPO performance of the major tech companies in the past, the share price normally will drop a little bit for a couple of days after the listing. So they will wait a little bit. Some of them.
Now, what does this do for Alibaba's image? Because we know that it's not the first time that Jack Ma listed the company. Back in 2007, you were here, you watched it. Yes. Alibaba.com got listed here in Hong Kong. Yes. It had a massive rally, and then it tanked, and then it got delisted.
Yes. Alibaba.com's listing in 2007 in Hong Kong has been a disaster to many investors because the first day, actually the historical peak of the shares, all investors buy in later on got lost in their money. So basically, this time the debut of Alibaba in New York has been quite satisfactory for the time being. So I think it will restore some of the investors' confidence. If the share price continues to do good, I think it will change and enhance the investment image of Alibaba as well.
This New York listing has really been a wake-up call of a lot of sorts for the Hong Kong regulators here, because when Alibaba pulled out and said, I'm going to go to New York, the regulators here started some consultations on whether they would relax the stringent listing rules. So what changes might happen in, say, the next few years because of this?
Obviously, as we can see, performance of Alibaba in New York, and New York is the premier financial center of the world. So basically, to work hard its competitive edge, and so basically launch a concept page, the control on right partnerships. But pictures for the quotation has been smooth, but reforms and many basically turn out to be successful. I think have many other companies to go back to Hong Kong. Even they may try to attract Alibaba to have a dual listing or even secondary listing in Hong Kong a couple of years later.
We got about half a minute, Ronald. What about the mainland investors who didn't get to take part in the Alibaba IPO listing? When did they take part in a capital fundraising as big as this?
Yes, they has been kind of disappointing because they cannot participate in the IPOs. But some of them find ways to invest in the companies indirectly, through brokers in Hong Kong or in US. But eventually, if Alibaba go back to Hong Kong for or secondary listing years later, I think investors will find a way to invest in the companies because by the time the Shanghai Hong Kong Stock Direct will be smooth running.
Well, certainly not the end of the story. Thank you so much for joining us, Ronald Wan of Asian Capital Holdings. End of the Alibaba IPO journey to Wall Street, Michelle, but certainly the start of bigger things to come for this e-commerce behemoth as it uses the money that it raised in this listing to grow its business more and globally in the next few years. Back to you, Michelle.
All right, absolutely. Thank you so much, Cathy Yang, live in Hong Kong.